Years of abandoning myself got me to a very dark place in my life. And in the middle of pain, I realized that unless I change my relationship with myself, my life was going to spiral down. My journey back from self-abandonment taught me so many things. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 things I learned. First thing I learned when I stopped abandoning myself in my 30s is that a regulated nervous system does not outsource safety. That's why I have been meditating every single day since January 2019. Emotional regulation means my body's ability to go back to a state of calm and safety after experiencing stress. So I learned to sit down with uncomfortable feelings instead of doing my best to avoid them and to run away. Knowing that my body, that I can handle any feelings that come up, gave me the confidence to sit down with the pain, to allow whatever feelings to express themselves without feeling threatened by whatever comes up. I remember the first few times I sat down to meditate, my feelings were overwhelming. I started crying uncontrollably. And I realized that this was probably the first time in years that I allowed myself to experience how I was feeling. This is why it felt overwhelming in the first. I felt that I was not able to handle the pain. The more I allowed myself to feel it, the more I allowed myself to sit with it, the more I gained trust in myself. The second biggest thing I learned is that we abandon ourselves when we lack self-trust. Self-trust is the inner conviction that you can rely on your own judgment, emotions, and decisions. Deep-seated reassurance, a relationship with oneself that allows you to feel secure and authentic regardless of external validation or uncertain outcomes. When we trust ourselves, we have emotional stability. We believe in ourselves even in difficult times. In the past, I used to ask others for their opinions about almost everything in my life. I believed more in their version of reality than in my own perception of what was going on. These kinds of behaviors gradually eroded my sense of self-trust. That's why I felt like I needed other people to feel safe and secure and emotionally stable. The third biggest thing I learned is that I started moving from people-pleasing to self-respect. This one took some time, but I no longer cater my behavior to appeal to other people's opinions of me. What really matters to me at this stage of my life is to be authentic and to live with integrity. I know that living a life that is true to me is way more important than people liking me. Respecting myself means prioritizing my feelings, my needs, and my own perceptions over other people's opinions of me. So right now, if someone likes me, that's good. But if they don't, that's okay too. There's freedom that comes with self-respect and not being so attached to other people's validation or opinions. The first thing I learned is about authentic boundaries and assertive communication. I learned is that having boundaries does not make me a bad person. In the past, I used to think that unless I give people everything I have, unless I put people first, it means that I'm a bad person, that I'm selfish. But now I know that having boundaries helps me to protect my peace, keep my self-respect, and help me to have something more valuable to give to people and to myself. The other thing is that I learned to communicate these boundaries, my needs, my true desires, in an assertive way, without judgment, without blame, and without aggression. So now I don't feel guilty saying no. I don't try to bend myself backwards to please people or make them stay. I express myself authentically and I let people make decisions that align with who they are. Number 5, which is a consequence of having learned and put into action the 4 things that I mentioned here, which is having better quality relationships. Because I changed my perception of myself, because my actions and my behaviors changed, now my relationships don't feel like an exhausting emotional labor. My relationships, or at least most of them, they reflect back to me the self-respect that I have for myself. So relationships rise to meet your standards. Now, most of the people in my life are on the same level of emotional maturity. They respect my boundaries. They want what's best for me. We are aligned on values, and that's why communicating with them does not feel like an emotional labor. I no longer try to over-explain, justify or make excuses, because I know that if this person cares about me as much as I care about them, they are going to respect my boundaries and my choices, and they're not going to make it about themselves. And the last thing that I want to leave you with in the end of this video is that if you are struggling with self-abandonment, know that everything in your life is like a mirror. It all reflects back to you the insecurities and the wounds that you have in your relationship with yourself. This does not make you a bad person. It only means that you haven't yet learned a healthy way to relate to yourself and to others. These are patterns that we have picked up during early childhood. They are reversible, and once you start moving in the right direction, you are going to feel a difference in the way you relate to yourself and to others. Relationships are no longer going to feel like a burden or like it's taking so much of your energy. They are going to add more joy, more pleasure to your life, and they are going to help you to become a better version of yourself.